Hello and welcome to yet another interesting episode of the Reflection series, where we share stories that recharge and rejuvenate us. And like always, we have a very wonderful speaker today with us, Amisha Patel. Amisha is a student of life, as she says. Originally from New Zealand, she has been practicing Raj Yoga meditation for several years now. Prior to that, she was living a high flying professional life, but now she prefers to embark on a life that lives up to her name, which means honest and pure. How lovely. And the story for today is titled A Silent Conversation. And as it's put, have you ever experienced a moment when all your labels, expectations, and walls fade away and you find yourself merged in an unlimited world of silent signals while fully alert and living in the moment? So let's welcome Amisha as she relives her experience and takes us with her. So a very warm welcome, Amisha, and we are looking forward to hearing the story or the conversation you had silently. So over to you and welcome once again.
Thank you, Latabe, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, Lata, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you for inviting me to share a story. The story I would like to share is an experience I had some years ago, but it still inspires me today. So I was in Istanbul with a group of young professionals. We were on this course together, and we found ourselves in Istanbul. After a long day of interaction and activities and workshops, we decided to go to a restaurant. So we walked to the restaurant from the hotel. It wasn't too long a distance. It was probably only 10 minutes to walk. And I remember having a really lovely time, just good company, good food. But the memory that really stands out in my mind till this day is the walk back from the restaurant to the hotel. So let me take you on this journey so that we can all share it together. So just picture yourself walking on a beautiful, mild evening. And you're with a group of people you're acquainted with. You don't know them that well, but you've been with them for a full day of activities. So you're acquainted with them. And you're just walking in a small group of 10 to 12 people down the street. It's not too busy. And you're feeling really, really well. I mean, you just had a lovely dinner and a really nice chit chat. And you're feeling quite content. And you don't feel like talking much. So you're quite content just walking in amongst this crowd down the street. Quite content to be silent and to yourself. A few stars in the sky, and it's just a beautiful evening. And then as a group, you turn down this narrow street. It's a quieter street, cobbled path. And it's narrow, so you're going to have to walk in pairs, two abreast. And you see that pairs are forming in front of you and behind you. And when they form, conversations ignite. So the couple in front of you are talking, and the couple behind you, they're talking, and you find yourself paired off with another person. Now, ordinarily, in this situation, probably feel like maybe I should say something, start a conversation, something interesting, something clever, because after all, you're with a group of young professionals and you want to make a good impression. But on this evening, You're feeling so at ease and so content that you don't actually feel like filling that silence with any words. You don't even have a thought that, oh, maybe I should say something. Nothing. You just feel so at ease and at content. You just continue walking, enjoying the atmosphere, enjoying the stars, and just enjoying the chatter that is surrounding you. And the person next to you is also just walking beside you and quite happily walking, not speaking at all. You don't need to have a conversation. And so here you are with someone that you don't really know, walking side by side in silence. But the most interesting thing about the silence is that it's not an ordinary silence. It's not a dead silence, an empty silence, a silence you feel compelled to fill. It's a silence that is full of sweet harmony. It's full of synchronicity, of just contentment. It's a full silence. And this feeling grows inside you and around you such that right down to the steps you're both taking, the same feet, everything is synchronized. It's almost like it's all choreographed. You're so in the moment and in the flow of this silence with this other person. And the feeling inside is like an overwhelming feeling of gratitude and peace. You don't even know that it's coming from you. It just feels like it's all around you. Peace, there's joy, and there's just the sweetness. And you just know that you're in harmony with the environment, with the atmosphere. It's like a fragrance. You're not even trying to feel this way. It's just a natural fragrance that's emitting from you. And then you just have this deep sense, this deep awareness from inside, this deep voice that just says, I am this. This is me. By now, you're walking straight and erect and so confidently in the sweet silence, in harmony with the nature, with the atmosphere, in harmony with the person next to you. And it's so synchronized that there's an obstruction up ahead, some roadworks, some cones and barriers. But it's like it's not even there because you go one way, the other person goes the other way, and then you meet up together on the other side, in step, at pace, as if the obstruction was never there. It's all one fluid movement. No thought that I should do this, I should think this, I should make this step, or I better watch out. Nothing. You're just walking. And it seems almost like it's not you walking, it's just a fluid movement. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself at the steps of the hotel, and then in the lobby. And you turn around to this person and you say, thank you for the silent conversation. And that person looks at you, puts their palms together, bows slightly. And in that moment, you know that it was a beautiful experience for them as it was for you. And so this was my experience of a silent conversation in Istanbul. And that memory has stayed with me for until now. I always go back to it. I always wonder, how did I tap into that? What was it? And what was that voice inside that says, I am this? This is me. It was so amazing that I just had to share it with you and take you on that journey. But you know, it's since that time, I've now understood a bit more about who I am and a bit more about the soul. And so it's only now that I understand that silence is the language of the soul. And it was that I was tapping into. The extraordinary thing is that it's so full. Silence is not a dead silence. It's not empty that we have to fill with conversation or words. That sweet silence of the soul is so full and sweet. And I think it's the combination of that peace and that love and that gratitude and that deep joy that makes it so sweet. I've tried many times to go back to that space. And sometimes I can, and sometimes it's a bit more of an effort. But at that time, it was so natural and so easy that it just had to be the original self emerging from deep within.
Absolutely beautiful. And as you were describing the way you were walking and what we were see, it was as if we were with you and experiencing it. So if I could ask, as you said, that after that experience, you have tried going back into that experience, and sometimes you are able to, sometimes it's an effort. Have you kind of recognized what the reason may be for it, or like what is more necessary if we need to go back into that deep silent experience again and again? Are there any things that we can do more often that will help us experience it?
Yeah, it's a good question, because I've asked myself that many times, to just try and go back to that stage. And the answer that just keeps coming back to me is this deep feeling of contentment, on just being at ease and no worries, just feeling this deep sense of goodness for myself and for everyone. More often than not, it can be difficult to get to that point, because always thinking about what I have to do or what's happened. But it's just being in that present moment, open to that present moment, and then connecting with that feeling of contentment. Perhaps it was the good food and company that preceded the experience that allowed me to be in that state. Who knows? But yeah, it's meditation does help me to reach that point where I can feel good about myself and be content, and most importantly, be present.
And you mentioned that silence is one of the original qualities of the soul, something like that, or that's the original nature, like we are silent by nature. Would you like to share a bit more about it?
Yeah. So silence is it's not just not speaking. I think it's going to that place where there's not too much thought as well. I think it's more to do with silence in the mind, peace in the mind, where I'm not thinking about actions and I'm not thinking about particularly what I've done or what others have done, what I felt or what I have to do. So yeah, it's a silence of a mind, I think. So it's getting to that point where being present again is it's a bit different to just being present in a mindful state. I feel it's more present in a awakened, alert state. So I can be silent and the mind can be off somewhere in a different space, but it's more about being open and allowing that goodness inside, that quality of that deep joy inside, that deep peace inside, to just spread inside and outside, and just let it out. So it's a deep feeling, and perhaps that feeling is preceded by an attitude. So it's an attitude of just being me, of just being my natural self, and not allowing any thoughts of I should do this, or I should be that, or I should speak, or I should put up a front of being a professional, or what someone has an idea of what I should be like. But no, just being who I am. And that's how I can connect with that deep peace with myself, and then just allow things to naturally flow from that point.
Absolutely wonderful. I was just thinking how the two qualities that you described, like silence is one, but you also mentioned about peace, love, and harmony. How, though these are different words, but in a way they are all the same. Like it's one flower with different petals, if I can give that analogy, and that's who we are. And as you said, we need to be ourselves, not think about what others want me to be, or if I behave in a certain way, what will they say, or what will they think, etc. So I think it's those thought patterns that lead to restlessness. Whereas when we are content with ourselves, we can be at peace and we can be ourselves and tap into the silent, beautiful conversation or the journey again and again.
Yeah, that's wonderful. The way I like to sometimes distinguish the two is to, in terms of an ordinary kind of silence, or what we feel like is an empty silence, because a lot of the time I think a lot of people feel like, oh, the silence is quite a dead silence, and we always need to fill it with something, and whether it's the mind or in speech. But I like to call that an ordinary silence. In the silence, this experience of a silent conversation, I like to call that an extraordinary silence, because it goes to that level of a really subtleness, so tapping into that subtle energy, which includes all those qualities that you mentioned, and that's why it's so full, and that's why it makes it so sweet. And just like those petals of a flower, it just gives off that fragrance all around you, and it's such a powerful state to be in as well, because someone next to you can also feel that, and then automatically the energies become synchronized between the two of you without even knowing. There's no conscious effort at all. It's just it's like you're just in sync. Sometimes you finish people's sentences, sometimes you just you know what someone wants. Sometimes you're thinking of calling someone and they call. It's all about this synchronicity and energy. And I think tapping into this extraordinary silence is a way to really harness it.
And now you have been meditating for many years, but I would like to know, when you had that experience, had you just begun meditation, or you were not meditating, or you were meditating for a few years, or you were then, and after that, how did it change, or what changes came about?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because no, I wasn't meditating at that point. And which is why I really found it extraordinary, and probably why I still remember this experience, because it was before I started to really practice meditation. And what I started to learn after I learned this Raj Yoga meditation that I'm practicing, the knowledge behind the experience is what really allows me to then try and have that experience again, or recreate that moment again whenever I choose. But at that time, it was an experience that I didn't consciously enter into. It just happened to emerge itself in me. And so yeah, it's amazing how experiences can be like, an analogy I have in my mind is that experiences can be like this, the top of the tree, with the branches and the twigs and the leaves. That's all kind of the feelings, the environment, the synchronicity, everything is all there. But the knowledge that allowed that to happen and how you can recreate that, that's like the trunk. And so what I've learned during my practice of meditation since then is all the knowledge behind that experience. And that's what's giving me a good foundation to try and recreate that experience again. So that knowledge in particular is about the soul, like I mentioned, and how all of these qualities are in the soul. It's the original qualities of the soul. And so now I know that that's what was emerging at the time. And but sometimes I feel like, okay, now that I understand that knowledge, how can I go back to the experience again and automatically go into that experience? And so it's always a matter of remembering and forgetting. It's a cycle, because to get back to the experience, I have to elevate myself beyond that knowledge again to get back into the experience, into those trees, into the leaves again, and then back down to the knowledge, the trunk again, if I want to understand a bit more about the groundwork and the foundation and make that stronger. So it's all about going up the tree and down the tree for me in terms of my practice and experience and the knowledge.
It's beautiful. As we are speaking about meditation, it would be lovely if you can lead us and the viewers into a meditation experience by a commentary. That's something.
Okay, so let's just relax the body and sit comfortably. We're going to just take a few deep breaths and exhale. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And as you're breathing out, just relax all the muscles in the body. Just relax. Clear the mind. Be now in the present. If you have something to look at in front of you, just focus on a point in front. Or if you feel more comfortable, just close your eyes. Just relax. Breathe in and breathe out. And now, gently turn your attention inwards to the center of your forehead. Just imagine there's a point in the center of your forehead, a tiny point. A point of light, a subtle form. This is the soul. This is you. The subtle point of light, like a tiny star. Just imagine going deeper inside the mind, beyond all the layers of the body, the personality, all the layers of who you think you are. Go deep inside to this point of light, this point of awareness. Deep inside, I am. I am a soul. I am light. I am peace. Feel peace within. Feel waves of peace flowing over you, surrounding you, emanating from you. If thoughts come in your mind, don't be concerned. Just let them float away. They will come and go. After all, thoughts are your creation, but it is not you. It is not who you are. I am peace. I am a point, a drop of peace in an ocean of peace. Completely aware of who I am. I turn my attention upwards. I turn my attention to the highest point, the ocean of peace. I am a soul, and the ocean of peace is the supreme soul. Just imagine you're in this ocean of peaceful waves. You a point, and the Supreme Soul a point, and the two of you are just merged in this ocean of peace. Deep silence. Full silence. golden silence. Just you and the Supreme Soul, point to point, deep silence, a joyful silence.
Thank you so very much, Amisha,
You're welcome.
for taking us into that beautiful silence. And we really enjoyed listening to the silent, but not silent story. Yeah. So, I hope we are able to practice more meditation and experience that beautiful silence for ourselves too. So thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me.
And for our viewers who are watching us, please do visit our website www.brahmakumaris.org.au. We have all our programs and courses listed up there. We also have our addresses of the local centers that you could visit. So you're welcome to join. So thank you once again, and we'll see you with another interesting episode in a couple of weeks. Till then, take care and keep experiencing Om Shanti.